Hey crafters, this is Paulette. It is June 2014 and it's time for my daughter-in-law's birthday. So I made her just a really cute card set with some of my new stamps from My Favorite Things. And I colored these with Bic markers, so the darker colors are the Bic markers and these lighter colors are American craft markers. So just super cute. I had so much fun coloring these. One tip I will give is that if you're going to color things and really be able to stay in the lines, make sure you've eaten a decent meal and kind of let that settle on your stomach for maybe 30 minutes to an hour before you sit down to color. You can't just drink a lot of coffee, not at my age, not in the spring of your 50s, and sit down and color and stay in the lines. I did have trouble with some of the hair on some of these little girls, and I ended up having to draw an extra hairline to make their hair look okay. And you know, it worked. I also used the Loads of Love stamp set from Stampin' Up! To fill my little wagon. I don't know why the little image that comes with the wagon doesn't fit in there right. So, you know, this one arm is missing, so the bear can be in there. And if you move that way down, you might could get his arm out here between the string and the wagon, but then the bunny arms are still... So I just absolutely was at a loss for that, unless you cut them out. I guess maybe they're made to cut out. But I think the Loads of Love images were just darling in here. And I mixed and matched. I did pull sentiments. Some of these little stamp sets only have a couple of sentiments. So I pulled sentiments from some other stamp sets, and they just worked out really well. So I may come back and do a tutorial on some of this coloring. Oh, I just think they were all so cute. And I also purchased a box of these really bright social envelopes since I colored in all of these really bright colors. And I just think that will be really fun. That's going to be so fun. So anyway, I also made Amber one of these lapel pins, and these were such a fiasco to make this time. I made my first pin in September of 2013, and it turned out really well. It was a very sheer fabric, a very crepe fabric, and I will try to link to that so you can see that pin. I wasn't able to actually demonstrate it on camera, but I discussed it and showed the pin. I had originally set out to die cut all of my shapes, and oh, here's a little piece of that tool. I found this tool that's got glitter in it. It die cut beautifully, as did this very meshy fabric that's almost a see-through fabric. It die cut really well too. I could cut about 4 layers of that. And when you're die cutting with fabric, it helps if you put a piece of cardstock in there as well. Put your fabric on the die and your cardstock on there last, and that just kind of helps it cut through the fabric. But this was such a thick satin that the dies did not want to cut it, and I had to tear them off. And I ended up jamming my machine so many times during filming this, because I did want to share it with you guys, that I ended up getting so frustrated, and I had to abandon that after about 30 minutes of wrestling with my machine and unjamming it with the screwdriver, because I have the Big Shot Express by Sizzix, which is the electric machine that they had before they came out with Tim Holtz Vagabond. So that was okay. I ended up using my dies as a pattern and just cut around them with scissors. Here, I will just cut, because I don't have any shapes that aren't melted. I will just cut a couple of, or just one, a circle shape here, and I will melt it for you so that you can see how I did this. I'm sure if you have allergies or respiratory issues, you probably want to be really careful with this kind of thing, because this is a man-made product, a plastic that was turned into fabric. So you don't want to be doing this all day long and breathing that, because it may cause you hives or something like that. So I'm going to show you how to melt that. I've got a broiler pan, and this is what I use to do all my embossing and everything in. I've got some pot holders, some really double thick pot holders, and I'm going to put them underneath here because I do not want to damage my cutting mat, which is what I work on. So I'll put that underneath here. And here's one that I've already melted, and I'll plug in the heat tool. I never leave my heat tool plugged in when I'm not in the room with it, because who knows what might fall on it and turn it on. When I'm sitting it down, it's turning itself back on a lot of the time, so safety first. So I have just a pair of craft scissors, and I'm just going to hold this down while I melt the edges of this. Because when I went to melt these with the candle, which is what you're supposed to do, it absolutely scorched. Can you see that? It scorched this fabric. And so it's just because it's a heavier fabric, and you may have a thinner fabric that a candle would work really well with. And I will link to my post so you can see the pin I made last year. It was a much more sheer fabric. So I'm just going to turn the heat tool on. And once it starts going, it goes pretty fast, just like embossing powder. And you get all of these different shapes, and then you can stitch them together. Now this one, there is a couple of, well, no, I guess that did melt. Sometimes you get a couple of places that I would probably trim that off, really. Technically, yes, I would. I'm going to right now. And then you just can layer these together and then form your flower. So I don't know what Amber thought of her pin, but it doesn't really matter. I put in the time, and I actually made 3 of these, and I gave her the best looking one, in my opinion. I don't know if she liked the pin, but I don't normally give her a craft. I started that last year. She's been in our family for 7 years, and actually her and my son dated in high school, so really more than that. We have taken her to the lake for, you know, probably more like 10 years. So I just feel like she's more stylish than I am. But then when we go to her house, and she loves to decorate just like I do, and the things that she loves are very much the things that I love. So she always asks for a gift card to Barnes & Noble for her birthday, and I decided last year, well, I'm going to start making her a little something. Because the gift card is fine, but it's just not personalized, you know? And Katie and I, my daughter, we make each other little crafty gifts. So I just thought that would be fun. And I wasn't really pleased with these 2, but you know, when I hold them up to my lapel and look at them, you know, in a vertical position, they're much better than they are in a flat position. So they're probably just fine. You know, we always seem to be our own worst critic, don't we? So as usual, if you guys have any questions, be sure and let me know.